Hey guys, how's it going? This is Kris, and as I said in the last video, I'm uploading late, so I'm sorry about that. This is week 48 that I'm doing, and the question is share some resources, books, movies, documentaries, TV shows, etc. you felt accurately represented the trans community or that you felt hit home with you in your transition. For me, definitely the YouTube community has been the number one thing that has helped me understand myself better, be able to connect with other people, just share some of those experiences and not feel so sort of alienated, and yeah, have a more positive sort of attitude towards myself, my lifestyle and that sort of thing. Um, Simply because of the fact that it's connecting with other people who are in the same situation with those real life experiences, and people show their heartache on YouTube, and some more than others, but basically people don't just sit back and say this is what's happening and there's not been any difficulty with this. So I think it's good because it gives everyone an opportunity to express if they want to anyway. You know, the good and the bad, like the whole sort of roller coaster of being transgendered and starting the hormones and the surgeries and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that the YouTube community has by far been the best resource. I think, I mean, I'm not, you know, as far as I can see anyway, for anywhere, because it's a real life experience, as I said. So I think that that's the first thing. Um, I don't really read any books. As I said in my last video, I don't watch television really much, and we don't really have sort of like a lot of well-known books or resources in general about trans people. Um, Not that are really well known anyway. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of things here. But one thing is the Queer Film Festival in Melbourne. I'm sure that guys in America have something similar. I really like this because I think that it's a different way to portray transgender people. Some are in documentaries in the film festival, and others are sort of just a comedy sort of thing for a bit of laughter. Um, and yeah, it pulls in all sorts of different individuals from different situations, all different trans folk, different ages, and totally different backgrounds. So I really like that because it just gives a real variety of a resource, and I really enjoyed going myself and connecting with trans people there as well. So yeah, those sort of festivals and things I think are really good resources. Uh, Another one is My Secret Self from Barbara Walters, which is a story of transgendered children. A story of four kids, well, three or more kids, and the other one's a bit older. But two are there's FTMs and there's M2Fs. So I think it's good because it portrays both transgendered sexes, and includes the family's perspective, and is a really, like, I don't know, when I watched it I found it really touching and stuff. Yeah, it just goes into all sorts of different depth of being transgendered and what it's like for kids and their social interactions and things like that. And yeah, I really liked it. Obviously it was sad, but I think it was a really good way to educate people, and it would be a really good resource to use for people who, like parents, I think, who may find it difficult to understand why their child is saying that they're trans and why they've felt that since they were a kid and that sort of thing. I think that's a really good resource. Any documentaries really at all, I think that you know, show from, as I said in the last video, from the medical family or from the transgendered person's perspective of what their transitioning has been like, or leading up to their transitioning or post-transitioning, anything like that, I think is really good, a really good resource because it's a real life documentary and people can relate best, I think, to that sort of thing. and it puts a faces to names and that sort of thing as well. Like, I guess books, they're fiction, so they could be useful in some ways, but to me, I personally anyway would find that more reality focused to be a lot more appealing and a lot more helpful as a resource to me. Yeah, so I think that the only one that I could think of from Melbourne, specifically, there is some out there in Melbourne, but I'm just not very familiar with too many of those resources. I myself have just started to get involved bit by bit in the trans community in Melbourne, even to know its existence in Melbourne. So I'm new to, I guess, the resources and that sort of side of things. But there's this one guy named Jez, and he's from Melbourne. He's a trans guy, and he's written a magazine called Dude. And basically, this is a positive representation of trans guys. And the magazine is basically a bit of a dialogue of how to interact sexually, I think, is the focus with trans guys' bodies, how to interpret and negotiate those interactions. And yeah, I mean, I haven't read it myself, but I really want to when I get a hold of it. Apparently the copy's sold out really quickly. You guys can Google search it. It's, yeah, the Dude magazine by Jez Pez, maybe even his last name is. So that's good. I think that's going to be an ongoing magazine that will happen. And basically, according to him, he felt like he was going into a lot of like gay clubs and male gay only clubs, and was worried about disclosing his identity as being trans because of safety concerns. And yeah, people, it just, I think as well, like, if people are able to read this sort of book, who's interested in wanting to be or muck around or whatever with a trans guy, then it gives them a bit of an idea about trans bodies and that sort of thing as well. So I think this was a really good resource. It's obviously got a lot of mixed reports, but I think that it's really good. I'm really glad that we're starting to get those sort of resources in Melbourne happening as well. So that was about it for me. Yeah, in terms of television and that sort of thing, we haven't got any like transgendered people, as I said in the last video, on those movies at all. That really at all. And you know, in terms of television series, we've only really in the last maybe 5 years, or a bit more than 5 years, but really not too much, had like gay and lesbian people be characters. So I don't want to give people the wrong idea. I don't think that it's that Australia is like overly judgmental and that sort of thing. You know, I think that there's judgment everywhere. I think that it's really naive is what it comes down to, and just a lack of education of transgender people. In America, there's a lot more people. There's varied states with different sort of attitudes about this sort of stuff. Very varied from what I can see. But in Australia, it's all pretty, even though it's very spread out, it's all pretty much the same in terms of this sort of thing. So yeah, anyway guys, hopefully I'll be able to upload on time this weekend, so I hope you guys are well, and yeah, I'll catch you later. Bye.